The GOP is off its rocker, not just a little. The kind of off that makes you question if reality even matters anymore. This week we saw extremism, cruelty, absurdity, and outright procedural chaos all colliding in plain sight. We saw the GOP's extremism with capital swastikas and Trump's monumental ego on full display. That's the thread running through everything we're about to unpack. Stick around because the final reward is the arc to Trump. And yes, he fumbles a word that perfectly captures the absurdity of it all. So let's start off with the young Republicans. They had leaked messages from their war room chat, and it revealed a new generation of GOP leaders trading violent, racist, antisemitic fantasies like their casual memes. One of the text messages reads, "Everyone that votes no is going to the gas chamber." Another said, "Great, I love Hitler." Young Republicans signal teenager to some. You might think it's college students. Many of these people are actually in their 20s and 30s, and they actually work in government jobs. And naturally, instead of condemning these messages, Vice President JD Vance basically brushed them off. He called them edgy and offensive jokes. And he said people were overreacting and that we were clutching our pearls. He even went on to say kids do stupid things, especially young boys, even though these are grown adults with real government positions. Then he pivoted to the classic, "But what about them?" card. JD Vance kept pointing to the Democratic guy, Jay Jones, who's running for Attorney General in Virginia. Jones sent some truly messed up text messages about how maybe if politicians' kids got hurt, it would change policy, which is obviously horrible. Jones owned up to it. He apologized, and his campaign is basically tanking because of the consequences of his own actions. But Vance won't stop bringing it up. He's mentioned it 3 times in 2 days, basically saying like, yeah, our people said some bad stuff, but look, this guy, he's way worse.
Grow up. I'm sorry. Focus on the real issues. Don't focus on what kids say in group chats. The reality is that kids do stupid things, especially young boys. They tell edgy, offensive jokes. Like, that's what kids do. And I really don't want us to grow up in a country where a kid telling a stupid joke, telling a very offensive stupid joke, is cause to ruin their lives. And by the way, if they were left-wing kids telling stupid left-wing jokes, I would also not want their lives to be ruined.
When you see someone celebrating Charlie's murder, call them out. And hell, call their employer.
Never say sorry. That's the MAGA strategy 101. The spin is, our guys were just dumb young people making edgy jokes in private chats, but their guy, he's an actual candidate for a serious job, so his texts are the real problem. It's deflection. They're trying to get everyone to look over here so that we stop talking about what just happened. And honestly, it's kind of working because everyone's talking about both scandals instead of just the young Republicans one. They joked about grape, suicide. They were mocking Black and Jewish Americans and plotting political sabotage. And again, these aren't just outsiders. They're chairs, they're vice chairs, and they're staffers embedded in the state's GOP organizations. They're trying to seize control of the national young Republican leadership under a hardline pro-Trump agenda. Experts warn that repeated exposure to this language doesn't just stay in these private chats. It shapes norms, culture, and eventually policy. Then there's the Capitol. The U.S. Capitol Police are also investigating a modified U.S. flag in Republican Representative Dave Taylor's office, which had a swastika crafted from the stripes pinned to a cubicle wall during a virtual meeting. A symbol of hate and genocide hanging in the halls of democracy. Extremism doesn't just stay online or in these little signal chats. It migrates into real offices and public spaces. Meanwhile, onto a palate cleanser. California. In California, amid a government shutdown where the GOP is refusing to show up to work or give Americans health care, life-saving policy went viral. Governor Newsom unveiled $11 insulin for residents. $11. We're going to cut to the clip.
We will be the first state to provide this not subsidized insulin, but lower cost insulin available to anyone and everyone at pharmacies and direct mail pharmacies all throughout the state of California. $11 per pen, $55 for a month's supply of this long-lasting insulin. It has been a long road to get here. This is a process that has unfolded over the course of the last 3 years, and it's a process that will continue to unfold over the next few years.
While extremists joke about murder, grape, and genocide, some leaders are actually protecting people. Actual leadership, am I right? Before we move on, if you like unflinching coverage like this, hit subscribe so you don't miss out. On the national defense front, a military officer urged colleagues to reject Trump's illegal orders. In a breakthrough moment, a former Marine colonel with 24 years of service resigned in September 2025 because he was worried about Trump's presidency. He basically told active duty troops that they need to think critically about the orders they're given and remember, they're personally responsible for their actions, especially if those orders might be illegal or immoral. It's part of a bigger conversation happening around the military about the service members and who should refuse to follow orders when it comes to protecting the Whole Foods or beating up and disappearing pregnant women or shooting dogs. I digress. Now let's zoom into Arizona. Attorney General Chris Mays is threatening legal action against House Speaker Mike Johnson, MAGA Mike, for delaying the swearing in of Congresswoman-elect Adelita Grijalva. Let's cut to the clip.
Johnson doesn't swear in Representative-elect Adelita Grijalva. She won a special election to fill the seat of her late father, Democratic Congressman Raul Grijalva. It's been 3 weeks, and she's still waiting to take her oath of office. Mays sent a letter to the speaker saying, "You and your staff have provided ever-shifting, unsatisfactory, sometimes absurd stories as to why Ms. Grijalva has not been sworn in." She's giving him 2 days to say when he will make it happen before she seeks judicial relief. On Capitol Hill today, Johnson called the ultimatum a publicity stunt.
We're going to swear in Grijalva as soon as we get back to legislative session. So my advice to all the Democrats in Arizona is to tell their two senators, Kelly and Grijalva and Gallegos, to do their job and vote to open the government so we can move forward with our business.
He's made exceptions for others, swearing in 2 Republicans from Florida in April in a pro forma session less than 24 hours after they won their elections. He said that was only because their families were in town.
Grijalva won her late father's seat with 70% of the vote in the 7th congressional district of Arizona, making her the first Latina to represent Arizona in Congress. May's letter calls for her immediate seating, warning that delaying her access violates constituents' rights. Johnson, MAGA Mike, claims it's standard procedure in practice to swear in members only when the House is in session, but precedent shows delays are selective. Earlier winners were sworn in off-season. Critics allege that the holdup is political. Grijalva could join the Democrats in forcing a vote on the Justice Department to release the Epstein files. Senator Ruben Gallego called it blocking her from her position to protect pedophiles.
And let's just be very clear. This speaker has sworn in 3 other members, now members in a special, under 24 hours after their election. And 2 Republicans, 1 Democrat. The only difference is I am not a Caucasian male, and also I am a woman of color from Arizona, and 700,000 people deserve to have their voice heard. Right. And I am so grateful for this caucus and the mujeres that have joined me here today, because let's just be really clear. If I were a Republican, I would have already been sworn in. That's right. And that is not acceptable. They're afraid of me signing and being the 218 signers. 218. Yep. And I think that that's important.
This is chaos, and it's a tool of extremism. Delaying representation is an anti-democratic and pro-pedophile stance. And then the spectacle of all spectacles. Donald Trump unveiled his latest personal project, the Arc de Trump. I am serious. A triumphal arc across the Lincoln Memorial, visible from the Arlington National Cemetery.
Versions of it, sizes of it, and it's going to be really beautiful. I think it's going to be fantastic. There's a rendering of what it will look like. You have 3 sizes. That would be the largest one. This is just a model of what it would look like in either of the 3, any of the 3 sizes, which is right here. I don't know if you can see it. So that's Lady Liberty. Lady, did you ever hear of Lady Liberty? On top. But, so the sizes would be very good. And here's Lincoln. And this is sort of facing this way. And so we have this direct line. They did this and even that. So this would be, small, medium, and large. Medium and large. And whichever one will look good. I happen to think the large looks like large.
3 3D model versions, a gold Lady Liberty on top, but he famously fumbled the word, calling it Tylenol, whatever it is. The ARC is privately funded, part of a broader set of renovations, a gilded Oval Office, a $250 million ballroom, a presidential walk of fame, and statues of George Washington and Abraham Lincoln are strategically placed on those grounds. It's an absurd and authoritarian move. Turning public spaces into personal monuments sends a message. This is all about me. This is not about the nation. Think about this pattern here. We have violent fantasies normalized in party chats. We have now swastikas in Congress caught on live streams, and we have life-saving policy ignored elsewhere. We have military leaders defending the Constitution, and we have absolute chaos in the House refusing to seat Adelita in Arizona, and we have a president transforming the Capitol into his little Trumpy showcase. This is extremism, cruelty, and spectacle. They're all connected. This week wasn't about partisan wins or losses. It was about values and whether extremism and authoritarian impulses and absurdity will go unchecked, or whether we're going to call it out and hold power accountable and defend the institutions that keep democracy alive. The GOP is off its rocker. Every swastika, every violent joke, every procedural stunt, every gold arch, and yes, even every fumbling word is a reminder that vigilance is not optional in these times. Democracy can only survive when people wake up, pay attention, speak up, and refuse to accept this cruelty or absurdity as normal. That's this week in the GOP extremism. Another week of chaos. Stay aware, stay engaged, and if you want more unflinching coverage like this, hit subscribe now. Make sure you have your notifications bell on, and we'll be back with more. I am Lauren P. across all channels. Families belong together, and abolish ICE. And release the Epstein files.